Good morning. It's about 11 a.m. here, the morning after Team Canada versus Team USA gold medal game in the World Junior Hockey Championships 2021. And don't know why, but I woke up this morning kind of feeling like I wanted to make a video on my thoughts on the game last night. Clearly, I'm a Team Canada fan from Toronto, so was definitely cheering for Team Canada last night in a disappointing 2-0 loss to the Americans, but wanted to give my thoughts on how many people are going to claim this as a bust, throwaway from Team Canada just because we had such high expectations and a standard of gold for last night. But I'd just like to argue that Team USA outplayed us and Team USA deserved this win. Obviously, having 19 or 20 first-round draft picks on the Canadian roster, you do set that standard of excellence and you do, expect a gold medal. But I think that all of that expectation got to Team Canada's heads, and last night it showed that the players themselves kind of thought that this game was going to be given to us just because we had such a good team that we were destined to win. But they didn't fight for it like the Americans did. The Americans came out with a structure and a game plan that was just overwhelming for Canada, and we couldn't handle it. You could see in the first period we were just getting hemmed in our zone, constant pressure, losing puck battles, and mind you, we did definitely look sloppy, especially compared to the games prior, leading up to this gold medal matchup. We were missing passes and missing coverages and just seemingly couldn't get pucks to the net, and we had our challenges for sure, but Team USA came out strong, and they didn't really slow down. Leading up to this game, it's noted that Team Canada, was on an absolute tear, undefeated, and never even trailed in any of the games. And that shows how dominant we were. But really, what matchups did we have that competed with us like Team USA? You could argue that the Finns and the Russians were tests to our team. And we definitely handled them very well, but I don't think those teams were structured quite the same as a Team USA. It didn't come out with the passion that Team USA did. And part of that is definitely Team Canada getting on the board early in those games against the Russians and the Finns and all the others leading up to this matchup. Canada seemingly was able to just score in every game early on, and their confidence grew and grew as games went on, and it kind of snowballed from there, and they never really gave any other team a chance, really. But against the Americans, they jumped on us quick, and it seemed like we weren't able to handle that. It took us by surprise. You never want to plan for this, but I think it speaks volumes to facing adversity. Like I said, Team Canada had never trailed in any of the games prior to this Team Canada, Team USA World Junior Finals. And I mean, that definitely speaks to how dominant we were and how good our roster was, how deep our roster was, and how strong we were able to start those games. But it's noted that Team USA lost an early game in this tournament, and they went on to win every single game after that. And perhaps Team USA was able to take that first loss as a learning point, understand their mistakes, battle some adversity, get a little bit closer as a team, but most importantly, get that idea in your head that, this tournament is not handed to us. The Americans were definitely thinking, we got to earn this. They got an early surprise loss, and that definitely was a little bit of a wake-up call. Whereas the Canadians, they never really faced that. Just dominant in every game, a few blowout wins, a few that were a little bit closer, but at no point did Canada really feel threatened. And so when we go down 1-0 and then 2-0 against the United States, we aren't prepared to come back from that. Not to say that we weren't able to, but it seemed like Canada just didn't have a response. Perhaps if we had been losing in one of the games prior or had a little bit more of a challenge leading up to this gold medal game, we would have been a little bit more prepared from a maturity standpoint, learning, leadership, a little bit more prepared to bounce back. But we just weren't, and we weren't able to handle the attack. And kudos to the Americans for getting on us early, because I think that was really the difference. The opening puck drop momentum, controlling the play in the first period, it rattled the Canadians. It truly did. And we did start to swing the momentum a little bit. At the end of the first period, we got a power play, didn't score obviously, but was able to get a little bit more pressure. It's unfortunate that that was right at the end of the period because, had that penalty ended and we had 10 minutes more on the clock, it's possible that we would have controlled the puck for the next 10 minutes. But the Americans got an intermission after that and were able to come out strong once again in the second period. Obviously in the third period as well, Team Canada putting on a little bit more pressure. That's to be expected from a team that's coming from behind. But the Americans, they kept all of our shots to the outside. They played a great defensive structure, blocking a lot of shots, not giving us a lot of quality looks. There were a few loose pucks here and there that we weren't able to get to some rebounds, some unlucky bounces, but the Americans just held us off very well. I would have liked a little bit more effort in that regard from the Canadians. Get to the net a little bit more, screen the goaltender, try to rustle some feathers here and there. It seemed like the Canadians were set on this game plan of using their skill, which, I mean, they definitely had an abundance of it. But when Spencer Knight is playing as well as he is, and the Americans are keeping you to as low quality scoring chances as they were in this game, you can't really necessarily expect that, a shot from the sidewall from the top of the slot is going to just go in like you were sniping goals against the other teams leading into this game. You have to be able to generate some scoring opportunities in some different ways, and we were just relying too much on our skill and not enough on the grind. We had a few players that were definitely on the forecheck and pushing hard. I mean, you look at Connor Zary, you look at Peyton Krebs. I mean, those guys, we had the players on our team to push a little bit, but I would have liked a little bit more. And with that said, there's a player in particular that I would have liked to see a little bit more, Quinton Byfield. Not to single him out necessarily, but you think about this last year's draft, the first overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere, obviously wasn't cleared to play by the New York Rangers. They wanted to keep him in training camp. You look at the third overall draft pick, and you look at Tim Stützle on a German team where he had a little bit of support, but not much. And even in a game where they got absolutely destroyed by Team Canada, 16-2, every time Stützle was on the ice, you knew it. He had the puck. He was controlling the play. He was generating offense in a game that Germany wasn't able to generate much offense. He was just a dominant player in every single game he played, and kudos to him. So you would think that the second overall pick would have that kind of presence as well, where every time he's on the ice, you notice him. He's playing well. He's playing strong with the puck. He's making skilled plays. You're hearing his name on the broadcast, and I didn't find that with Quinton Byfield. And he didn't get the first line minutes that maybe would have benefited him. But I just would have liked to see a little bit more, especially since he's such a big-bodied guy. When your skill isn't working for you, if you're not able to get to the net using some nifty mitts or generating scoring chances through your skill, I would have liked to see a little bit more effort on other areas. Use that big body, be physical. You're a fast player, get in on the forecheck. You're a power forward, just push your way to the net and they won't be able to stop you. And at the very least, crash the net, get in the goalie's face, screen the guy. Spencer Knight was on his game. You weren't going to score him with the shot. I think if you were going to score, it's a deflection like Alex Turcotte's goal. It's a bounce like Trevor Zegras' goal. It's a screened goalie. It's a bank off of someone backdoor, but it didn't seem like Canada wanted to score that way. It seemed like they were just relying too much on those outside shots. And that's where I wish Quinton, as well as other players, just tried a little bit harder to get in front of that net and rustle some feathers there. And I mean, credit to Devin Levi as well. I want to shout him out. He played an absolutely terrific tournament, coming out of nowhere, a 7th round pick, wasn't expected to make the team, and to play as well as he did. And not to put any blame on him at all, because he played solid and you can't blame him for either of those goals. But really, I don't think he was the storyline that we were making out to be. He obviously played fantastic, had 3 shutouts, undefeated, leading into this game. But at what point did Devin Levi really bail Team Canada out? I mean, we had the lead in every single game. He wasn't facing shots where, they could give up the lead, or Canada wasn't giving up quality scoring chances and Devin Levi was bailing them out. He just seemed to be in control of his net, but Canada didn't give much to our opponents. And with that said, leading into this game, you put a lot of pressure on a young kid. that again wasn't even expected to make this team, to be like the star goaltender. We were already claiming him as potentially one of the all-time greats in Canadian goaltending performances before the gold medal game. And really, what did he do to deserve that kind of claim? Again, very solid goaltending. Great on him. It's exciting to see where his future might go. But he really didn't bail the Canadians out. He really didn't stand on his head in any specific games. He just did what was expected of him, to hold the net while Team Canada controlled the puck. Going back to this game in particular, a deflection goal, a fluky bounce, you can't put it on him. It's unfortunate that those ones went in. I think there was a stat that, only one goal all tournament was a clean look without being deflected or on a power play or anything of the sort. So he obviously played very well, but it's difficult to set that kind of expectation on him and the expectation of gold on all those players. I think it went to their heads a little bit. It definitely showed, because they weren't battling as hard as the Americans seemed to be willing to. It was a little bit peculiar because the Americans played a late night game the night before, so you would think that they were the ones with the heavy legs and a little bit tired, but didn't seem that way. So credit to them. I mean, as stacked as the Canadian roster was, the Americans had quite the squad as well. You look at Zegras, Kaliev, Caulfield, Turcotte, York, Spencer Knight. These are guys that were definitely built to compete with the Canadians, and clearly they did a better job. So congratulations to the Americans. I am extremely looking forward to next year. I think it's back in Edmonton, and I'm really hoping we have some fans back in the building. I think that would have been a factor last night. I think going down early, having a crowd there, the passionate Canadian fan base, would have been able to give a little bit of an energy boost to the team. Wasn't there last night, so hopefully next year we'll be able to have the crowd behind us, supporting us a little bit more. Hopefully, if we make it to the gold medal game, we won't be against the Americans, because they seem to have our number, clearly winning the last 4 gold medal games against Team Canada. So definitely don't want to face them, but looking forward to what happens next year. And once again, congratulations, Team USA, on the 2021 World Hockey Championship gold medal.